And what's the mood in this one like? Is it very different than in previous?
There's a huge number of people, and I just wonder where they all came from. I think they're supporting all the new M72.
We won 72 MPs.
72.
We now have 72 MPs.
We got 72 MPs because we played the system really effectively.
We will use our 72 MPs.
And we have 72.
Got 72 MPs. A lot of those have never been MPs before.
Well, we've got to make the most of the 72 MPs.
Not only have we got the 72 MPs, but so many members who feel really energised by the results.
I had a dream last night that you shot at 72.
72.
Number 72.
72, buddy. Number 72.
72, 73.
I'm guessing 72.
So what do you say to 72?
72 and sunny.
72.
There's 72.
What are you, 72?
You can keep the 72.
Oh yeah, you know I had 72.
72, 73.
Technically 72.
Young 72.
On a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give it a 72.
Now we have 72 brilliant MPs.
Peeps has been in Brighton this week at the Lib Dem party conference. Now, love them, hate them, have no opinion of them at all. They've got 72 seats in Parliament. But what's next for the Lib Dems? Surely the jet skiing and the paddleboarding can't go on forever. We've been speaking to Lib Dem members about whether the support will really last until next election. And obviously a lot of people voted this time for the Lib Dems because it was a big reaction against the Tories and they didn't want them in anymore. But do you think that sort of base of support is gonna hold? Surely it's quite shallow. It's not that much. It's not gonna be timeless.
Once you elect a Lib Dem, we tend to be very hard to get rid of. It takes something quite catastrophic like happened in 2015 to unseat a lot of Lib Dems, because once we've got our foot in the door, people recognise that we're actually the best party at dealing with individual people and solving real issues and not just soundbiting and bluffing our way through apparent politics. We really are representative. Once people have tasted that, they come back and go, can I have some more, please?
We always say in the Lib Dems there's no such thing as a safe seat when you're a Lib Dem, so I do think everyone in their constituency will work really, really hard. But the pessimist in me, just knowing how politics sort of comes in waves, I think a few of those seats, especially if you've got a sort of more moderate Tory and some of those sort of outer London seats, I think like Dominic Raab's old seat, Michael Gove's old seats, a place like Guildford, like I think risk losing them.
We always are trying to build up our core vote, and our core vote is I think people with 2 PhDs almost always vote Lib Dem. So that's fantastic. We've got the double doctorate nailed down.
Quite a small demographic.
Yeah, so we have the pro-Europeans, and that's really, really important. And but it's not enough to win seats. If every Guardian reader in the country voted for us, we would lose our deposit in every seat in the country. So we have to broaden our appeal beyond these. Electoral reform, absolutely key for us. Constitutional reform more generally, decentralisation, House of Lords, Europe. These are all our hot button issues, but we need to be broader than that.
So people voted for all sorts of different reasons, and there are definitely people who just voted for us because they did not want the Conservative MP to get back in. But the reverse is also true. There are people who voted for us because of our social care policy, because we stand for fair votes, because we stand up on climate change. And I can say this for a fact because I've had those conversations on the doorstep. And actually it was the health and social care that particularly was being played back to us as, I'm voting for you because you're the only ones talking about social care.
Do you think the Lib Dems are inspiring though? Lots of people would find them quite boring.
Boring's not a bad thing in politics, is it? It's I often think to myself that a good politician should be in the background. I'm an engineer by trade. If I do my job right and I design something well, or I fix something well, and it never breaks again, then it goes unnoticed. And this is not a bad thing at all. I'd certainly rather be classed as boring as a Lib Dem than exciting like a complete incompetent buffoon like Boris Johnson.
Lib Dems sometimes seem a bit wishy-washy though. They just kind of react to things. What does it actually mean to be a Lib Dem? What do they stand for?
Oh, we're not wishy-washy, come on. I mean, look at the last general election campaign. We led the way on social care, for example. That was a really important policy on an issue that's affecting more and more people in the country. That's definitely not wishy-washy. We had concrete plans for funding extra work in that area.
When were the Lib Dems ever boring would be my question back to you. You know, when I joined the party in 2016, it's because the Lib Dems took a really strong stance on Brexit, a stance that no other parties were taking at the time. So, you know, that was not wishy-washy. Clearly we're taking strong positions on a lot of pertinent issues for the electorate now. For example, with the winter fuel allowance, which our MPs are opposing the cut to in Parliament, and, you know, we've shown that we're going to make a real impact.
Well, I think we've been attacking both the Tories, and especially the Tories of recent years, you know, who are really very right-wing. When I was young, and I did join the Young Conservatives, not because they just had the prettiest girls, you know, but because they had a very, very sort of moderate policy line. That's since stopped when Thatcher, you know, kicked out Heath, and I joined the Lib Dems, you know, because I couldn't be bothered with arguing with those kind of people.
You're quite young, and the general demographic among the Lib Dems are kind of this older population. People often associate them with being quite boring. Why are you a Lib Dem?
Great question. Well, the area I was brought up in, West Edinburgh, strong Liberal Democrat tradition. My local MSP is Alex Cole-Hamilton, my local MP is Christine Jardine, and the service that they provided locally was really important to me. And my family are actually Tories but voted Lib Dem because of the sort of strong belief they have in the sort of local provision, and that's really important to me. And every MP I've met in the Lib Dems works so hard and really cares about, you know, no one joins the Lib Dems because they want to be Prime Minister. And I think that makes really hard-working, decent people. I think it comes in waves. So, like, for example, during COVID, sort of being anti-vaccine passport, I thought that was a really strong, like, liberalism identity to the Lib Dems, and I loved that. I was really proud of that. But then sometimes with the stunts and things, I'm a bit like, it's important to get into the media, but it's also important to stand for something that isn't just anti-Brexit. I think now I think even in the party, we kind of resigned to the fact that has now happened.
What do you think of Ed Davey's stunts? Do you think people take him seriously?
I think Ed Davey comes across, I don't know, when he talks about his son and his life and his caring responsibilities, I think his stunts do represent, if you listen to him speaking, they do represent sort of the issues he cares about, so the natural environment, health, social care, but as a picture, it doesn't necessarily give serious politician. But I also think maybe people want another serious politician? We've got another straight white man in power, probably going to have a man in the Tory leadership. So I think if you can be fun and interesting and approachable, that's a unique asset he has.
Oh, I've got this long-standing disagreement with my mum, who absolutely hates the Ed Davey stunts. And I said, Mum, forgive him. We really struggle to get press coverage, and unfortunately, sometimes you've got to be a buffoon and do a stunt in order to get on the news. What I'm hoping personally is that we can ramp down the stunts and start actually talking seriously and comprehensively about policy and change.
My mum lives in Yorkshire, and she phoned me up. She said, I switched on the news, it's so exciting, I need to see what Ed Davey's been up to. She said, he must be battered and bruised, I feel very sorry for him. And in some ways it's a very superficial trick, but the other thing, and you're seeing it a little, well, it's wrong to make a comparison between what the Democrats are doing in the US, but actually bringing a bit of joy and pleasure and excitement to the process. People are a bit fed up with politicians, the corruption, the arrogance, all those. Somebody with a positive message and also a simple message. You know, that caring message, perhaps a couple of years ago, sounded a bit woolly and a bit vague. But actually, who doesn't know somebody who has contact with the care system, whether it's children with special educational needs, whether it's the elderly, whether it's people coming out of hospital? It's really relevant. So I think it's a low-key approach, but it's actually proved very effective.
Do you think we're going to see 5 more years of stunts?
I think there's going to be a few more stunts coming down the road for sure. We were asked to email the elite stunt team at Lib Dem HQ with ideas, so I think there'll be more stunts.
What would you like to see him do if you had your choice?
Oh, well, he's done so many, it's hard to know what's next. He came to conference on a jet ski.
So each row represents 10,000 votes.
Whoa.
And you're trying to clear as many votes as the Lib Dem MP got in their seat to win their seat.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the proof of the pudding will be in 5 years' time when there's the next general election. But what do we see in this election? We saw that we held those by-election seats that we won after Tory scandals. Usually by-election winners lose those seats the next time there's a general election. So there is a track record of building on success. But yes, it will be a challenge, and we've got to live up to it over the 5 years of this Parliament.
I think it's possible that next time round the Lib Dems could become the opposition, the main opposition.
Well, our electoral system is a complete lottery. It's I mean, we are in the unusual position of having got close, they're not exactly the seats that our 12% vote share would have delivered. That was, we got the 3 strawberries on the fruit machine. Reform and Greens did pretty well and didn't get anything like that number of seats. The Labour Party polled worse than it did when Jeremy Corbyn was leader and got far more seats. So if this was a fruit machine, it would make a lot of money for people who run it and not much for the punters. But it's quite possible. We are only, I think, a few 100,000 votes away from winning 25 Conservative seats, and if we do that, they have 121, we have 72. Even if they don't lose any to anyone else, we might have more seats than they do. Now that would be great for us. I don't think it's good for the country having an electoral this broken fruit machine, but that's our target, because I think we can be a more effective opposition to the Labour Party than the Conservatives are, because we're not full of mad, silly ideas, which all the major Conservative contenders for the leadership seem to have been to the kind of Nigel Farage and Donald Front fruit of the school of fruitcakery.
Sunny, 72.